Good afternoon and welcome to the F3i booth. I'm Priscilla Koepke, the CEO of F3 Innovate, and I have the immense pleasure of welcoming Secretary Karen Ross to our booth this afternoon. And she's had the opportunity to walk around and see what we've pulled together here.
Yep.
All of our partners and the startups and the innovators that we're supporting. And so we're so excited to be here at the World Ag Expo and having a presence. So welcome, Secretary. We're so happy to have you.
I'm so glad you're here. You're so visible. And I do have to say I'm glad you're next to the Women's Conference Center, since it is 2026, the International Year of the Women Farmers. So kudos to all of you for excellent strategic planning.
It was very strategic. I think we intentionally did that, and we were very excited. We're even sponsoring a panel on AI and agriculture,
Great.
and so we're really excited for that panel.
Nice.
Yes.
Well done.
Well, you have been at the helm of the California Department of Food and Ag now for 15 years. And you have been through so much in that period of time. You've seen so much in the industry. And so from your vantage point, when you look backwards, when you look forwards, what do you think is the biggest opportunity that the agriculture has in the next 10 to 15 years?
If I had the answer to that, I would get a briefcase and go into, no. That's a really good question, because right now we're going through a rough spot in the ag economy, which is happening all across the United States. It's not unique to California, but it is generational here, because it hasn't happened across so many of our top commodities, but production costs, all the things you hear about from farmers. So the opportunities to deploy technology and innovative solutions that will actually make economic sense, as well as help us with the many environmental challenges we have. I can't think of anything more important than how we use and manage water, store water, recharge water. Absolutely key to our future. That's one that I see, as challenging as it is, the biggest opportunity as we focus on the ability to continue growing food in a changing climate. I think that's really huge. And that we're not just creating the technology, we're also investing in the workforce to be able to deploy it.
Yeah. No, you talk a lot about workforce development in this space, and that's something that F3i cares a lot about. And we're very much focused on the students, the kindergarten through the graduate level, and saying, we know that the generation today is incredibly important, but the next generation is so important. So how do we do that in a collaborative manner? Like from because we sit kind of at that nexus, right, where we're engaging with growers, we're engaging with academia and industry, and really trying to bring everyone together to really pave that path, if you want to say.
Well, and I think I should step back and go, F3, Innovate, and this whole approach that all started and really inspired Jobs First, doing a regional approach by really leaning into what is our shared vision for this region. Because California is a big, diverse state, and we're very fortunate. We've got not just one major driver of our economy, we've got 12 or 13 major drivers, and people recognize agriculture as one of those. And so leaning into ag and the challenges within our own community of some of the issues around poverty and unemployment really help people go, but ag is what we do so well. We also have advanced manufacturing. We've got these great public institutions here. And so I think that really inspired a lot of Jobs First to really start with that. And quite truthfully, one of the first innovations in this space were the 8 Central Valley community colleges working together. But some of that goes back to the innovative work that started once UC Merced was here. And through the San Joaquin Valley Partnership, it was the chancellor of UC Merced, the president of Fresno State, the chancellor of the community colleges. But at that time, it was the high school superintendents that worked with our small towns where the populations are generally farm worker families, and superintendents at some of these schools were asking the parents, what do you want for your children? And that led to feeder programs around STEM and really great partnerships, and now that's taken off. So what's happening here in the Valley is now being exported up and down the state, and I believe it's a pilot that could change continuing education, because we're all going to have to keep learning more frequently. I'm going to be left so far behind. But I think that we're piloting something here that works so well that we can show others a better way of doing this very thing. Yeah. How do we engage the next generation, but not leave the current generation behind by not investing in their workforce opportunities as well?
No, 100%. And I think that's what's so wonderful about F3 is you have the component that's focused on the current generation, and then we have another component that's focused on the next generation, and really trying to unite that. Yeah.
I mean, I just love your continued commitment to that. The other thing, and we talked about this at the state board meeting earlier today, is F3 really has leaned into, and I just lost my train of thought, so it'll come back to me. Oh, no, it's what we've done on workforce development and the farm worker community and the intentionality of engaging, the projects that the Central Valley Foundation initially funded with 12,000 aspirational surveys. That intentionality is what's needed. And then it can inform other regions what to do without having to try 3 or 4 different things. Right. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but that intentionality, Karen, focus, intentionally focus, Karen.
Well, I think that's interesting because we've been talking a lot about curriculum and, behind the doors, and how do we get curriculum to keep up? Whether that's grade school or college level, and so one of the things that we've talked about is that F3 Innovate sits at this interesting place where we engage the community colleges and the state system and the UC system, and we're trying to get them all to work together and to share, and that is obviously very difficult.
And I think the real beauty here is the employer community. I watched this almost 20 years ago in my hometown up in Sacramento, where healthcare started anticipating with an aging population, they were never going to have enough lab technicians or all the other support services within healthcare. And so it was roundtables of employers that went, who do we engage? And it was community colleges and others to understand, here's what we're looking at 10 years from now. Yeah. Let's not wait until we're at the crisis point.
Exactly.
And so I think employers can be one of the through lines of bringing people together, because, they'll raise the point of, well, we're paying our taxes. Can we make this all work better? Whatever it is. Yeah. But it's also that intentionality of knowing what the farm workers want. And when we talk about the employers, it's also one of the things I love about F3 is the small farm component. Yeah. You're the only ones that have made that a very intentional focus. And yet when you see the numbers of the 4 counties down here, we need to do that. And so I just think you've got all the building blocks for this. And it's, if we all want to, and we have the same hopes and belief of what's possible, that should keep us driving together.
Well, I think that it kind of hits on something that I wanted to ask you about is when you see something new in this space, like an innovation, right? And you've been engaging with growers now for decades. What is it that gets farmers to try something new? So when they're here, what is it? And then, how can we help de-risk those adoptions, especially with small farmers?
Yep. So the first thing is growers will pay attention if it's actually looks like it could be a solution. So did whoever's bringing it really take the time to understand what the problem was? And we can all sit in a room and define a problem 5 different ways, and until we all make sure that we're asking the same questions to answer the same problems. So I think that's the first thing is like, wow, what does this do exactly? I have this, and they start to go, would that work? Obviously, economics are always, and especially now with everything that's going on, understanding what is the cost, what is the investment, is it going to be affordable? How that's part of their feasibility. But then I think it comes down to some of it's good old-fashioned technical assistance. That can be cooperative extension, but we also invest in some of the other entities, especially for English as a second language, other entities that can deliver that message and run demonstrations. It's doing the field trials, which I know how dedicated you all are doing field trials to really do that applied research. Fresno State's great at that. So it's a combination of all those things. You're always what we used to call under the biologically integrated farming systems, there's always going to be lighthouse farmers. Those are the ones, I'll try anything. If I've got a few extra dollars, I'm going to give that a try. And my friend, who's the state board chairman, Don Cameron, he's known as, yeah, I want to do a trial at my farm, come do it. Like Don's very generous at space and time for doing that. But having peer-to-peer, because we all know the bad news and the bad outcomes travel fast, but that's also the peer-to-peer network that will also help others, because the first question they'll start asking, so how much did that really cost? Did that really help you with your mite problem? Did that? And that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I also have to say, I'm very excited about the new generation of young farmers coming back to the farm, because they are going to look on the internet. They are going to see if there's an app. They are going to ask questions about AI to see faster answers.
Right,
and
absolutely.
So, it's not just a one thing, because this new generation, they're looking for that. They'll sit up all night long if they see something online.
Yeah,
I mean, that's been my experience.
Absolutely.
So we got to think about all these ways of delivering.
Well, this morning at the opening ceremony, there was those 2 students that were awarded a scholarship.
I love that.
So inspirational, so excited. I said, we need to help them, right?
That's right.
Bring them in and make sure they succeed.
Yeah, and internships or even, shadow days. There's all kinds of ways of having them get excited about, that I didn't know there were jobs like that.
No, exactly. I mean, that's what we keep trying to show them. We're like, the future of agriculture doesn't look the same as it did yesterday. And I often like to say that running a farm of the future will be like running a tech company. It's all of the different technologies that are being integrated into the operations.
And you're a scientist, I'm not. But for me, and this is where I think engaging really young students it's the golly gee whiz stuff of science. That for them to know, wait a minute, I could irrigate my orchard on my phone. I mean, I think it's that golly gee whiz that we can take it for granted, but I think that's another way of appealing to many of our urban and suburban students of going like, I could do that and grow food for people.
Right. Well, I think it's generous that you called me a scientist.
Well, I know you're really smart.
Well, you've had, I'm sure, a little bit of time to walk around.
Yeah.
Is there anything here that you've seen at the World Ag Expo that has caught your attention or that you've been hearing people talk about that you would recommend people check out?
Well, anything to deal with robotics is like eye-catching, okay? Just that whole idea of that. And I haven't had a chance because of the state board meeting to see everything that's here. I know a few years ago, the first electric tractors were showing up. Obviously, the interest in autonomous equipment is huge, and we're still working through some regulatory issues in Sacramento on that. And then, obviously, for all the reasons we know, anything dealing with improved, smarter irrigation technology and all of the bells and whistles that go with that. For sure.
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, it probably will take me 3 days to walk around and see this place. It's that big. So
I think you've got 3 days.
I think we have 3 days, the purposeful in doing it that time frame. Well, you represent us, from Sacramento. And so when organizations here, whether nonprofits, startup, et cetera, are thinking about how to engage with government in a collaborative way to help support what we need to do and to move agriculture forward, to build that future of farming, how do you recommend they engage with their government entities to do that?
Well, come see me. Very approachable.
Yes.
GoBiz has a number of programs. That's always a good one to keep in mind. But oftentimes I find that people do start with the Department of Food and Agriculture because we've got food and ag in our title. So that gives them a place. The other thing for us, I've worked really hard and I appreciate the partnerships and the strengthening of those partnerships with like the UC, Ag and Natural Resources as one, but obviously the chancellor from UC Merced is very good.
Absolutely.
We sit on the dais together for the Strategic Growth Council, so he's always in my ear about something.
One of my board members,
but also just remember, like through cooperative extension or just through the universities, because we do a lot of work with them. We need it for our own programs as well as better understanding what's coming at ag and where's the work happening on that. And then the other thing is to always remember all of your elected officials that are in Sacramento and the legislature have district offices. And that is oftentimes the first step of making the connections. Maybe it's to other agencies that it's not us, but it might be the State Water Board, although we can help you with that. But having district offices really know about you, what you're doing, they've been on a few field days, can be really helpful and helping their bosses bring some of their colleagues. And so that's another really important opportunity there. And of course, your local government officials.
That is true. That is true. Well, I can say you are very approachable, and your team is too.
Good.
And we're grateful for the partnership and collaboration across the board.
For sure.
Well, I know.
We should be wildly successful.
We intend to. F3i,
of course you will.
Yes. Well, I know we talk about some of the challenges, right? But maybe from an optimistic standpoint, when you look at the future of food and farming and what we have going on here, what excites you? Like, what is really motivating you just thinking about the future?
Yeah. So I'm really proud, and I feel so honored and yet so small and humble at the work that we've done on climate smart ag. But what has always driven me is, for me, food and sharing it around a table is a way of bringing people together for community and to really identify all that we have in common and not just focus on our differences. And so for me, to see the current conversation that's happening in a very intense way at the federal level aligns so well with our efforts in farm to school and feeding children better to avoid chronic disease and being able to expand that as more market opportunities for our small farms. I can't tell you, if we could really focus on food, nutrition, food for health, we would save so much money on pharmaceuticals, on chronic diseases. We could be investing that in research and in farming and in kids. So it's just, but it's also to share good food, to grow it and to be able to share it is such a purposeful thing to be a part of. And we're doing our best to connect. These growers are using climate smart practices, or organic or regenerative, and making sure there's going to be a market that will understand and appreciate that. I think these are the kinds of connections that hopefully we will continue to build and strengthen.
Oh, well, that's beautiful. I have been humbled since I took this role to represent an organization that is just in the heart and soul of the Central Valley. And knowing that there is no other region in the country that is so agriculturally productive as this region, and the incredible importance when we talk about the food and the nutritious food that we need to feed our future next generation and our current generation. And so I think that's where, where the mission and the purpose that I feel and what F3i is trying to do is really to build the resiliency and the security of what we're doing right here in the Central Valley, and trying to do that and build it here in the Valley for the Valley. And it's just such a beautiful system and mission and ecosystem that is here, all trying to work towards that.
I love it. You're very lucky to get to do this work. And I feel very lucky myself. But to do this in the heart of the Valley, I can't say enough good about all of the people, the vision, the willingness to work together and to work with people that maybe they didn't traditionally see as partners in this. And it's like, food is our common purpose.
No, absolutely. Well, Secretary Ross, I want to thank you for being here. It has been an absolute privilege, and we are so grateful for your support and your leadership in this space. And we so very much look forward to continuing the engagement.
The wealth of wisdom that's in this region. Think about it.
Absolutely.
Good for you for showcasing it. That's great.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure.